Hey guys, for today's project, I'm actually working on some personalized notebooks. These are some notebooks that I found in the art supply section at my local craft store. These particular ones I got at Michael's, but they tend to have them at Michael's and Joann's with the sketchbooks and the various art supplies. And as far as I know, they have them most of the year. It's just that the material may vary or the colors may vary. So these are a faux leather, and I'm going to be personalizing them with a quote and doing a personalized name at the bottom of multiple notebooks. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. For this particular design, I'm going to be using a font called Medusa, and it comes as a duo font, meaning that it has a sans serif and an actual cursive script in it. And to start off, I'm going to be working on the sans serif part of the font. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my text tool and start typing out my quote. And the quote that's going on this notebook is "Find the creativity in diversity." And "find," "the," "in," and "diversity" are all going to be in one font. However, I know the letter spacing and the word spacing for this particular font is a little strange, so I'm going to type each word individually. So I'm going to go ahead and type in "find," and I'm going to change it to that particular font, and I've already started typing it here, which is why it's pre-selected. And I'm going to make the letter spacing a little closer together. And I'm going to do this with each word and just repeat the process. So I went ahead and I did "find." I'm going to do "the" and make the letter spacing closer together. And just repeat this process for each word that I'm using, just because the word spacing for this particular font is a little peculiar, and making each word separate gives me ultimate control. Now that I have each of the words typed out, I'm going to go ahead and put them together roughly where I want them to be in my design and where I want the word spacing to be before I group them. So I'm going to move "find" and "the" up next to each other. And then I'm going to do the same thing with "in" and "diversity." And now that I know that I have the word spacing the way I want it to appear on my final project, I can go ahead and draw a box around it and group it together. So I'm going to go ahead to my layers panel here and just click group. And I'm going to do the same thing with the words "in" and "diversity." Actually, I'm going to put this a little closer together. So now I'm going to draw a box around it and hit group. Next, I'm going to type out the word that's going to go in the center, which is creativity. So I'm going to click on my text tool again and type it in the box. And then I can go ahead and change the font to Medusa Bold. Now you can see each one of the letters comes up individually, and I'll have to ungroup them and put them together. But before I do that, I'm going to change the C and the Y to one of the other fonts or alternative fonts, a glyph in the set. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this C. And then open my font book. And I have the font open here where you can see that I have the letters with the different tails. So I'm going to find the C with the tail to the left, and I'm just going to copy and then go here and paste it instead of that particular C. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the Y. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that Y, go to my font book, and then find the Y with the tail to the right. Copy, and then go back to design space and paste. Now I have the tails to the left and the right as I want them, and I can go ahead and make this bigger. I can go to my layers panel and click on group, and I can move each one of these letters so that they are on top of each other before I weld it as one word. Once I have all the letters where I want them, I can go ahead and highlight all of the letters, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to weld so that this cuts as one word. And now I can put this in the center of my design and change it however I see fit. So I'm going to make this word a little bit bigger, and I'm going to make these sets of words just a little bit smaller. So I've decided that I want to change out how this looks just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and move it down so that it comes down here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this word, so it's not going to be quite as even. And then I'm going to do the same thing within diversity and just click and move it. Once I'm happy with how the whole design looks, I'm going to go ahead and draw a box around all of it and resize it so it fits on my project. Now my complete notebook is 8 inches wide, but this is a little too wide. So I'm actually going to go ahead and size this down just a little bit so that I know it fits in less than 6 inches. So I have an inch on either side. So that looks about right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Make It and send this to the Cricut to cut out. So here you can see the prepare screen after I've clicked Make It, and it has actually split my design apart, which I don't want. So if you're ever in the situation where the design has been spread out to conserve material, just hit cancel, then draw a box around everything, right click, and then click attach. And now when you go to make it, your design will cut out all as one piece. Now I need to cut this in the reverse because of the material I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and click mirror. And now I'm ready to send this to my Cricut to cut out. Here I have my quote all cut out, and I'm just going to go ahead and weed the design. So I'm just going to use a pick tool to get it started. And once I have a little corner of it peeled up, I can peel the majority of the design away by hand. And the smaller pieces on the inside that I cannot peel away by hand, I'm just going to use a tool to get into each one of those little crevices. And here is what the design looks like all weeded out. I've gone ahead and I've placed down my heat resistant pad because I'm going to be using my Cricut Easy Press. And because this is considered faux leather, I'm actually going to go ahead and preheat the material before I actually place my design down. And preheating only takes about 15 seconds before the book is really quite warm or hot to the touch. Now that my book is warm, I'm going to go ahead and place my design down on top of my book and put the towel back on top and press the heat transfer vinyl onto the book using my Cricut Easy Press. Once I finish transferring the design, I let the notebook completely cool down before I remove the plastic backer sheet. And here you can see what the final product looks like. A link to all the supplies I used will be in the description box down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.